this is Matt Welsh with Spiritual Media Blog, and today I have a very special guest, Lisa Faremouth Weber. Lisa is a graduate of Northwestern University and Loyola Marymount University's Masters of Yoga Studies program. She is an advanced yoga therapist and is a certified yoga teacher at the 500 plus level. She opened Heaven Meets Earth Yoga Studio in 2005 and has traveled internationally leading workshops and teacher trainings. She is a certified Chakradance Facilitator, Reiki Master, Shiatsu, and Sacred Lomi Healing Bodyworker. Lisa also sits on several nonprofit boards. She produced the 30-minute documentary film, The Future of Yoga, Your Pathway to Happiness, which is featured on Kino MacGregors OMStars online yoga channel. Lisa, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, Matt. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. So one thing that really stands out to me is just how much yoga really has meant to you in your life. And I know you come at yoga from a very authentic and spiritual perspective. So why don't you tell us, how did you get interested in yoga? What has it brought to your life? And ultimately, what is it like running a yoga center?
Honestly, I stumbled upon the path of yoga, and that's why I feel so strongly about this notion of Dharma. Like Dharma will find you. Your soul's calling, your purpose for your life will keep knocking on your door until you like turn your head and start to listen. So I tried to take the traditional route. You know, I went to Northwestern University. I started working in the corporate world, you know, wearing business clothes and, business shoes, and it didn't work for me. And my longing for movement, and as a child I was a dancer and an actress, and so my longing for that kind of drew me back by accident, honestly. I got invited to substitute teach for a yoga person who would go on retreat, and the industry knew me for different things that I was doing, and they invited me to come in and sub for this person because they knew I could fake it, right? Because I was a dancer and I could make the shapes even though I didn't know what I was doing. So I studied, self-studied, and I knew enough to go in there and like fake it. But when I did it, I felt the magic of yoga. I felt different after I subbed this class. And that was like my first sort of like wink from God saying, look over here, look over here, look over here. So at one point, I just decided to give up, tried to work in the corporate world. And I'll say I gave up my high heels for my tennis shoes, and I started in the fitness industry. And that but in the fitness world, I kept integrating, I would create, inspired low impact, or the spiritual perspective always found its way into whatever I was doing. And then I had 5 people die in my family within 5 years. So I believe it was my grandmother, my grandfather, my brother-in-law, my father died, my mother died, and my dog also died. So that was 6.
Jeez.
And yeah, and they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I believe that. I believe that our life gives us obstacles or portals to walk through to evolve. And it's within your perspective. How are you going to look at this? Are you going to look at this as a victim, or are you going to look at this as a blessing? Right. And that's one of the keys to overcoming addiction, right? Is that you have to start looking at your problems as blessings. And so as a result of what I was going through, I was receiving downloads, and the downloads were heaven and earth, heaven and earth, heaven and earth. And finally one of my peers said, no, 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 it's heaven meets earth.
Hmm.
And then as I was preparing, so this was something that I had been preparing over a number of years. So it's not like I just woke up one day and said, okay, I'm going to open a yoga studio. I had the intention, hold
Hmm.
on one second, closing something down so we don't keep getting that bing. Anyway, I had the intention, and so I started laying the groundwork, and it took me about 2 years to actually find the space that we're sitting in right now. This was the first yoga studio that I opened, and it was so this was heaven meets earth, and it was just one studio, and it was a small studio. But then 6 months later, this corner space opened, and I took it over, and then we had two studios. We had heaven and earth. So that's kind of my story. I don't know if you have further questions on that. I could talk forever on it, though.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love how you made the switch from the corporate world to finding something that was more like your calling or your dharma. And, a lot of people talk about that, but it's not easy to do. And I appreciate you sharing that it took you, I think, 2 years, you mentioned. Um, I guess, how did you handle some of the challenges, from anywhere from the practical, financial challenges, just to your own psychological or emotional challenges that may have come up trying to create that?
So I studied. One of the books I read was The E-Myth. I also did some training under Dan Sullivan, who is an entrepreneurial coach. And so I was practical in that, you need to have enough money to survive for 3 years. Okay, so I made sure I had enough cash stored away, and I made sure that my expenses were very minimal, so that way I could at least break even and pay my bills for the first 3 years. So that's a practical thing that you've got to be real about. Don't open a business if you're cash poor, because you're not going to make it. Okay, and keep your expenses low. So when I first opened, I pretty much did everything. I had some teachers, but I kind of ran the front desk, and it was a labor of love. But when you're doing what you love, you don't count the hours that you put in. So like you have to get that thought out of your head that you're going to work 9 to 5. No, like
Yeah.
but again, what is driving you is this like higher purpose, like this higher mission, right? It's not about your paycheck anymore. So you have to let go of the ego affiliation with how much you're being paid to what you're doing for purpose. How are you serving the world? So you go from, you know, what am I going to get out of this to how can I serve?
Mhm.
Okay, so and you have to be willing to to go the extra mile. So our studio was open 7 days a week, from 5 or 6 in the morning until 9 o'clock at night. And so I still get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm still here at the yoga studio even when it's friggin' cold like it is right now. Okay, like there's a lot of sacrifice, and there's a lot of struggle and pain, but this is what we have to do to find our bliss. So happiness is linked with purpose, and uh, so to answer your question, just to summarize, you've got to be practical, and money is real, and you have to be able to pay your bills. So you can't be in denial. You have to be honest, right? You have to have integrity. Much of the reason why this worked is because people trusted me, and people trust me because my community knows that I care about them. It's not just I'm not just after their money. I care about them. And that feeling makes them want to come here. And it's the same thing with our staff. I care about them as people. I care about their well-being. I care about their education. I care about their growth. I'm not just purely looking to work them and make money from them. So integrity is really important. In terms of my personal psychological struggles, I think having a relationship with God is really important, or a relationship with some sort of concept of energy, and to engage in. So every year I engage in a self-reflection process where I recommit. You have to recommit to what you're doing, because there will be struggles. And, just like when COVID came and we closed, and then you're faced with a choice. What do you do? Do you close or do you figure it out? And I chose to figure it out. And that's why I pivoted and went and got my master's degree at Loyola Marymount University. I was like, no, I'm not going to close. I'm going to pivot. And my pivot is I'm going to move into yoga therapy.
Huh.
And, I continued to grow. I continued to put myself into situations that I'd never been in before. And that unlocked this new energy from me. And then, when you take a step, the universe converges with you and reaches in there and pulls you along the way. And I've had that experience happen many times. So, and I lean on people. Like, I'll go get therapy if I need it. I'll go get a massage if I need it. I'll go talk to my psychic friend if I need it. Like, you have to have, somebody said to me, it was Sonia Choquette, when I would do consultations with Sonia, she would say to me, Lisa, Jesus had 12 disciples. Who's on your team? That's what she said to me. She goes, Jesus didn't do it alone. Jesus had 12 disciples. Now, who's on your team? And it could be your hairdresser, your massage therapist, right? Your dog walker, So I hope that answered the question.
No, that was wonderful. I really appreciate the honesty and the authenticity in that answer, because I think sometimes when people think about following their bliss or following their passion, they just kind of imagine, I'm gonna sit on a beach and then everything's just gonna come to me. And it doesn't work like that. There are struggles. But I think what I'm hearing you say is, even in the midst of some of those struggles, that helped you to become stronger and grow and evolve and even connect on a deeper level with your bliss and your dharma.
Yes, and this is in the Yoga Sutras, and the Yoga Sutras call it tapas.
Yeah.
So right now until spring equinox, we all should be doing a tapas practice, a daily practice that involves discipline and sacrifice, because that is it shines your soul. And so whether it's dry January, you're going to give up alcohol in January, or, you're going to go and start a morning yoga practice and go to your mat every morning, like whatever it is, right? But it has to be consistent, it has to be dedicated, and it has to be over time. And in yoga, it's called a tapas practice, and in Catholicism, it's what you do over Lent, right? It's your
Yeah.
Lent. Same thing.
So yeah, I mean, tell us, a little bit maybe about either your daily practice, or what you recommend for people starting a daily practice. Break it down for us. Like, how much time do you spend? What are some of the things you recommend? How can we do this without feeling like, it's a burden or a stress? I mean, how do we do this?
So the way you think of it is, put yourself at the top of the pyramid. Okay. Put yourself at the top of the pyramid. And one of the things that I did to open Heaven Meets Earth is I went through the Artist's Way practice. Okay. So that's Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way, which we're starting another 12-month process at the end of January, if anyone wants to join us. But within the Artist's Way is, you get up at okay, here's my daily practice. I get up in the morning, I go use the bathroom, I weigh myself to check in with how I'm doing. And then I get my water with lemon. I like my coffee in the morning, and then I go sit down and I journal. And I brought my journal with me just so you guys can see that I'm not fibbing. And I get a new journal every year that I love. And so this one has a mermaid on it, and I love mermaids. And the first thing I write is, Dear God, thank you. Dear God, thank you. And then I list, and it could be the names of everybody that I encountered the day before. It could be situations, but I start with a gratitude practice, and that it immediately changes my consciousness, and it changes the visceral experience of my body. And after I'm finished with that, I go for a walk. I grab my dog and we go for about a 20-minute walk. I'll usually listen to something, like I'll listen to Kaipacha, which is one of my astrologers, Pam Gregory. I might listen to Abraham Hicks, but it's something that, again, enriches my awareness. So I'm looking through the lens of love. Like this morning, Pam Gregory, her talk was live loudly in love, right? Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, I love it.
So when I come in from the walk, I'll have my breakfast, and like this morning I had a half a cup of dried oatmeal cooked in water with cinnamon on top, because cinnamon regulates your blood sugar. And then 2 to 3 hours later, I'll have my fruit snack. So I had an orange. And then 2 to 3 hours later, I'm going to have my lunch, which is usually some sort of protein with 2 cups of green vegetables. 2 to 3 hours later, I have a snack, which is usually a fat, like a handful of raw nuts, an avocado with cucumber. And then 2 to 3 hours later, I'll have dinner again, and it'll be a protein with 2 cups of green vegetables. Now, I'm not always perfect. And I, I give myself, like yesterday, I met some girls downtown for high tea. Okay. At high tea, what you eat, right? But
It's like,
you have to allow yourself to have a consistent routine, and then have a couple days of peace,
yeah.
you know, that, that- so that you can have fun. But your daily routine in yoga, in Ayurveda, which is the sister science to yoga, we call it a dinacharya. Dinacharya is absolutely vital for regulating and balancing your nervous system and your mind. Okay, if you're not rested, if you're not hydrated, if you're not eating, you're not going to be at the top of your game.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I mean, for me too, and I like how you break it up throughout the day. I think that's so important. It's like, for me, it's like, I try to do my morning meditation and then an afternoon meditation and then some sort of movement in the middle of the day. So it's not just like, 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night. It's a consistent practice. And I think that's what I hear you saying too. And I want to come back to one thing you said real quick. You mentioned the Artist Way course. I'm curious, is that going to be online and virtual, or is that just in person at your studio?
Yes, we do it hybrid. So you can come in person or you can Zoom in. So
So
like,
that
yeah, last year when we did,
anyone in the world can do it.
yep.
Wow. Tell us about that. What is that for people who might not know, just a brief overview of the Artist Way, but I guess more importantly, what does your course offer? What will people be able to get out of that?
So the course offers community and structure, which is what we all need. Okay.
Yeah.
And Julia Cameron lived in Chicago when she wrote The Artist's Way. She had been married to Martin Scorsese, and they had a daughter, Dominica. Dominica lives here in Evanston, and I bump into her every so often.
Jeez.
Yeah, but it's essentially and Julia Cameron went through recovery. So she took the template of a 12-step recovery program, and she used that as the template to create this 12-step spiritual recovery program.
Hmm.
So it really works, because now you're not affirming I'm an alcoholic or I'm a drug addict. You're affirming I am a radiant being of light. I deserve joy. Treating myself like a precious object makes me strong. So your affirmations have just elevated themselves in terms of frequency, okay? Because it's all about joy. And if we're not, if our life isn't joy filled, we're going to lean into bad behaviors like drugs and alcohol or sex or shopping or spending or whatever it is. But joy is going to give you the juice and the power for you to follow your bliss, for you to have the strength and the courage to take risks, because failure is part of the process. Failure is how you learn. There's nothing wrong with failure. My dad used to say, Lisa, did you make a mistake? Good. At least I know you learned something. So in the course, what you do is you're going to read the chapter, and then when we get together, we're going to work the tasks at the end of the chapter together. And during each week, you're expected to do your morning pages every morning, go for a 20-minute walk, and then bring your spirit on a date once a week. And it might be, well, gee, I want to go horseback riding. Okay, and then you go sign up for that horseback riding class. Or, gee, I want to go have lunch at Pier 290 in Wisconsin. So I'm going to take 2 hours. I'm going to drive over there, sit at the water, enjoy my lunch, maybe shop around a little bit, and then I'll go home. Like these are some of the things that, if we're work, or if we're in a place where we don't love ourselves and hold ourselves in high esteem, we won't do because we feel guilty or we feel like we're not worthy. Okay. So that's what this course does. It gives you a container and a community where you can start to have relationships and be in a sacred circle of people who are mirroring back to you, hey, you can do it. So I went through the Artist's Way. It was 1 year to the date before I opened Heaven Meets Earth. And I was terrified to open a yoga studio, right? Because everybody said, oh, don't open a yoga studio. You're never going to make money, right? And that's the same thing with being an artist. Like, don't choreograph that dance thing. You're never going to make money. And don't, be a dancer. You're never going to make money, right? But you can't live that way. You have to do what is inspiring, what is coming through your ideas, through your hands and your feet, because there's a higher purpose to what you're doing. And the money will come when you are in this place of purpose and joy. So, I've been through a lot of struggles in the 20 years that I've owned the yoga studio, but I can't even express the rewards that I have received, both from a financial and a friendship perspective. So I hope I explained the Artist's Way well enough.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a great course and a great offering. I am curious also though, is it just for artists, or I mean, who are the types of people who could benefit from it?
Let me give you an example, tell you something magical that happened. So I had somebody come through the Artist's Way a few years ago. And after the course, she met with me. She said, I want to open a retreat center. And she started looking in Michigan, but nothing popped. Okay. Well, about 3 years later, I had one of my yoga teachers come in and say, my boyfriend and I were about to buy this retreat center in Wisconsin, but our financial partner just backed out, and she was sobbing. I said, wait a minute. And I put them together with, coincidentally, two of them had gone through the Artist's Way.
No.
And they came together, they connected, and they bought a retreat center in Wisconsin, and they are joyful. So, it doesn't, two of them were actors and actresses, but one of them was a graphic designer. You don't have to be an artist. I'm not an artist. I mean, I think of myself as an artist, but I can't paint. I can't draw.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's really for anybody who's trying to expand and grow, spiritually, professionally, in their business. It sounds like a great program. And I mean, and Lisa's the real deal. Her yoga studio has been open for 20 years through COVID. It's expanded. So she knows what she's talking about. And
The
I
truth,
also, yeah, go on,
the
sorry.
truth of it, no, it's okay. The truth of it is many people are shut down. Many people are shut down. And when you're shut down, again, you engage in harmful behaviors. You don't take care of yourself as well. So that's what the artist way does. It opens you up to your truth. And we're all creative. And maybe we're going to create a business. Maybe we're going to create a piece of art. I mean, maybe we're going to write a book, like that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, keep going, Matt.
Yeah, no, those are great examples. Um, and I like how you're starting it in January, because it's the beginning of the new year, and we can make changes anytime in our throughout the year, but I think it's a little bit easier at the beginning of the year, just after the holidays, and we're fresh and focused. It's a really good time to do it. I'm curious, just in general, what do you foresee for 2025? What are going to be some of the energy that's coming in for this year? Just some of the challenges and joys of this upcoming year that you foresee?
So one of the people on my team, her name is Nam Hadi, and she's a Kundalini yoga numerologist. And I can send you the link so you can share it with people. But I get a numerology report each month from Nam Hadi. And you can also do one-on-one consultations with her. So every so often I'll have a consultation with her. But she was saying how 2025 adds to the number 9. And in Kundalini numerology, the number 9 is the number of the subtle body. So subtle body is your energy body, which means that we should be doing things that nurture and support our energy body, like dancing, chanting, movement, being in nature, taking Epsom salt baths, making sure you're eating right and drinking water with lemon and listening to beautiful music. Perhaps maybe you have a ceremony at home where you have an altar and you put flowers on your altar or you light a candle, but be very conscious of your subtle body. So your breath work, your meditation, your yoga practice, absolutely vital. So again, um, take care of yourself as an energy field. Make sure you're getting enough rest. Engage in energetic therapeutics, and make sure you're hanging out with people who are not toxic. Okay, if you're having toxic relationships, step away from those and go do a sound bath or go get a Reiki, session, but be around energy that is gentle and loving and playful and nurturing, like that. So that's the energy of 2025.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful to engage in all those practices. And could you talk a little bit about how that just carries over into some of yoga's general philosophies? Like, I know we've talked about a little bit about the yoga business and yoga money, but I guess more specifically, when people talk about the yoga of money, what does that mean, and how can we maybe use some of these practices to generate more of it?
So I want to share with you a book that is really important to me. This is Susie Orman's The Courage to Be Rich and Creating a Life of Material and Spiritual Abundance. And I'm going to share a couple of things from this book. Because of this book and because I had a chance to actually do a in-person session with her, she came to a women's group in Winnetka many years ago before I opened Heaven Meets Earth. But she had a phrase, a way of saying things. She said, "This is how the energy flows: thoughts, words, actions, character, destiny." Make
Hmm.
no mistake, this is how the energy flows: thoughts, words, actions, character, destiny. So it's making you 100% responsible for your life, for what you're creating via your thoughts, your words, your actions, and your thoughts. And we have that, it's in our bathroom in the big studio. I have it around the whatever you call that thing, I forgot, the baseboard. But there's something that she ends with in this book that's really, really incredible. And I would like to read it to you if it's okay.
Please, yes.
She calls this the 5 laws of life. And she says, may every thought that you think be etched in fire in the sky for the whole world to see, for in fact it is. May every word that you say be spoken as if everyone in the world can hear it, for in fact they can. May every deed that you do recoil on the top of your head, for in fact it will. May every wish that you wish another be a wish that you wish for yourself, because in fact it is. And may everything you do be done as if God himself is doing it, for in fact he is. I've always loved this.
Yeah.
And oh, it's about integrity, right? That we need to be in alignment with our thoughts and our words. In other words, we can't be narcissistic or have these hidden agendas where, we're smiling at someone and saying, hello, how are you? But back in our head, we're thinking, that son of a gun, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And so we need to be really conscious of the words that we speak, because words have frequency, words have vibration. And this is written in Dr. Emoto's Messages in Water, the whole power of your thoughts and your words. The idea that these deeds that you do, right? Like, you need to be as generous with others as you are with yourself. And there's a saying, they say that when your generosity is equal to your intuition, the more generous you are, the more your intuition expands. And I think that's really true. And then this idea that in Lakesh, that's Hawaiian for, I am another you in Lakesh, right? Like, your joy is my joy, your pain is my pain. There is no separation. And that's what we really need to understand, that when we are hurting other people, we're actually hurting ourselves. And when we're kind to other people, we're creating this karmic exchange of good vibrations, right? And when you understand the laws of the universe, when you understand the laws of energy, right, this is where you become more prosperous and abundant. So this is how it relates to energy and money and prosperity and wealth.
Yeah, I totally agree. And what I hear is at the core of this is our thoughts and our thinking. Which on one hand you could say, that's really easy because we control our thoughts, but on the other hand, like, we're constantly bombarded with external stimuli, or just like past trauma, or just any thoughts that might go through our mind. I mean, what are some exercises or techniques that can help us to focus our thinking, our thoughts on thoughts that really will serve the highest good, or bring about the outcomes we're hoping to bring about?
So every morning, I forgot to mention, when I get up and I wash my face, I do an affirmation, because again, messages in water, water holds vibration. So when I wash my face, I say, I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm blissful, or I'm blissful, I'm abundant, and I'm healthy. But I use that every moment in my day. I try to program my mind with thoughts that are high vibrational. Um, I'm trying to remember the researcher that wrote the book Power versus Force. He
Yeah,
has the
David Hawkins.
David Hawkins has the map of consciousness, right?
Yeah.
And highest vibration is peace and appreciation. So that's why our practice, our gratitude practice, is so important. These are ways to program your mind. If you're finding that you're going negative, because we all do, we all do, all right?
Yes,
If
yes.
finding that you're going negative, you have to catch yourself and go, I'm doing it again, and then flip it. Okay. And in order to flip it, you probably need to do something that's nurturing for yourself, like go eat something, go for a walk, go pet your dog, go buy yourself flowers, go make a cup of tea that you love, go dancing, go to a yoga class, put lotion on your body, like go get your nails done. I went and got my nails done in gold.
Nice.
So it's like whatever you can do to make it playful so that you don't find yourself going down into the toilet, because that's what will happen. When you start thinking negatively, you start creating a downward spiral, okay? And before you know it, you're in the toilet. And once you're in the toilet, it's hard to get out. You know what I mean? So you have to catch yourself before you go down.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think at least for me, being proactive with some of these spiritual practices really helps. I mean, that's why I think our daily routine, it's like, if my thoughts are just going in one direction, it's like, okay, that's when I know I need to come back to some of these practices, like you said, going for a walk, yoga, meditating, or just, listening to some music. I mean, all of those things can help us sort of recalibrate and reconnect.
I want to show you one more thing. So this comes EFT, emotional freedom technique, and it was a guy that used to come in and teach this at the studio. He has since passed away, but this is one of the things he taught us. So you can take your hand on your chest like this under your collarbone, and these are meridian points. I believe these are your kidney K1 or K29 meridian point. And you think to yourself, peace, love, and joy. Peace, love, and joy. Peace, love, and joy. Or you can say it, peace, love, and joy. Peace, love, and joy. Peace, love, and joy. And what that does is it neutralizes your energy field. So if you have negative energy in your field, if you're around negative energy, it helps you to release it into Mother Earth. And then it creates this like really powerful shield around your energy field so you don't keep taking in the negative frequency. So I'm an empath. I absorb energy. I absorb everybody's energy. And if I'm not constantly running my energy and clearing, the energy starts to build up and it becomes residual. And I'll either get a pain in my neck, I'll get a pain in my back, I'll get a headache, and these are it's better to catch it before that happens, because once you start feeling that way, it's harder to get rid of it. But so putting your hand here or just thinking those words, peace, love, and joy, peace, love, and joy, peace, love, and joy. Epsom salt baths are really important, really helpful for me for clearing energy. Putting my bare feet on the grass, bare feet on the sand, bare feet in the water, hugging trees. These are all subtle ways of clearing your energy field. So that way you're not going to be overtaken by lower vibrational energy, because it's out there, it exists. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned being an empath and absorbing others' energy. Can you talk a little bit more about that and how that works with the yoga of relationships?
Yeah, so I think more of us than we may realize are highly sensitive people. So there was a book written about highly sensitive people. And if you're not aware and you're not taking care of yourself, you sort of lose your power. So like I have to be by myself an hour every day. I can't have the TV on. I can't be in like gyms where there's a lot of loud music, and I can't go to bars. It's too much energy for me. I no longer do red eye flights. Like I have to fly at certain times because my nervous system just is too sensitive. And I think the daily practice of yoga, where you're stilling your body, closing your eyes, breathing, releasing, and then starting to move. So there's research now that shows there's something called anatomy trains, that your energy lines run through your fascia. And so these subtle movements that we do in a yoga practice, they're not just hippy dippy silly. They're actually decongesting your meridians so that way your energy can flow to your organs and to your brain, and your nervous system can function your thyroid can function, your liver can function. So we're going to see a big change happening in the world of functional medicine. So I encourage everybody to start a yoga practice because of how it opens up these energy lines and decongests your fascia and lines of energy so that you can be well, you know? So yeah.
It totally does. And not only that, but I know one thing that I like about you and your yoga studio is you also incorporate the spiritual aspect of yoga too. So, I mean, can you talk a little bit about that? How does the yoga connect you to your spiritual self?
So the first Yoga Sutra, Atha Yoga Nushasana, means now. Okay, so now you have to come into the present time now. The second Yoga Sutra, yoga is the calming of the fluctuations of the mind. You have to stop your thoughts, calm them down. The third Yoga Sutra is when you calm down your mind, when you stop those crazy thoughts, you are now abiding in your true self. So you know, it's like the small self and the high self are now one. So you have to understand that you are a divine being, you are divine, and the God force, however you identify that to be, flows through you. And you are here to be the hands and feet of God on earth. That's what you're here for. And so this is the teachings of yoga. Yoga, we talks about surrendering to Ishvara. Ishvara Pranidan means surrendering to God. So every day we need to put our ego down and realize that we're here to serve. For all of us, for the masculine, the sooner the masculine can put his ego down or the ego down and realize that you're here to serve. And it's the same thing with the embodied feminine. Like we're here to be of service to one another, to not only live with each other, but to live for each other. And so it's not as if God is out there or God is this punitive, you know, force. No, God is you. You are God you are divine. And so get out there and do what you're supposed to be doing. Do something that makes the world better.
Yeah, again, really focusing on, what can I offer to others? How can I be of a greater service? And yeah, again, Lisa, I know you truly do that. I've been to Lisa's yoga studio, and for now I think 2 or 3 years, and it really is a special place. Um, Lisa, is there anything that we haven't covered that you think would be important to talk about today?
I just want to say that I know life can be difficult. And I know that no matter where we are and how old we are, you know, whether we're in our 20s or whether we're in our 80s, we all have something that we're struggling with. Okay, we all have a challenge. My life is not perfect. I have struggles and problems and challenges, but your perspective is key. How you look at things is so important, and what you do is so important. And when you're feeling unworthy or when you're challenged, I just want everyone to know that your life can change in a New York minute. Your life can change with one step forward. And I think that's one of the big books I'm reading right now is Atomic Habits. And it's about making a 1% improvement every day, a 1% improvement every day. And then over time, you're going to have an incredible outcome. And this requires patience. So patience and perseverance. If anyone needs support or sort of a structure, reach out to Matt or reach out to me, and I'd be happy to give you some guidance.
Yeah, and what's a good way to reach out to you? What's the best way for people to find you
My
or
my
contact you?
my email is lisayoga@comcast.net, lisayoga@comcast.net. The website is heavenmeetsearthyoga.com. I want to give one more plug. We have a special event coming up for Galentine's Day. So I love Galentine. So Galentine is the day before Valentine, but we're going to be doing an event on Wednesday. I believe it's February 12th. It's going to be at Town and Oak in Winnetka. We're going to be doing a dance party. It'll be a dance party with breath work and a sound bath and food. It's going to be at Town and Oak, and I know it's going to sell out. So go to the website ASAP and enroll.
Oh, that sounds so fun. And also too, just with the Artist Way, when does that start if people are interested in that?
The Artist Way is going to be the last Sunday of every month. So you still have
Ah,
time to enroll. And
okay.
so it'll be last Sunday at 2:30. We're going to go 2:30 to 4. And you can be in person or virtual.
Okay, and does that start the last Sunday in January? So like in 4 or 5
January.
weeks? Okay,
It's going to
great.
be for 12 weeks. Yep. For
Okay.
12 months, actually. We're doing it over a whole year this year. It's
Wow,
going to be once
that's
a month
awesome.
for 12 months.
That's great. All right. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for being here with us. This was a lot of fun, and thank you for sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you.